Hi guys, so today we're going to be talking about the Personal Finance FBLA competition. Just to let you know, I placed 4th in Personal Finance in Georgia FBLA at the State Leadership Conference level. So Georgia FBLA is the largest of the state chapters with about 10% of FBLA's national membership being in Georgia. It's arguably one of the best states when it comes to how competitive it is. Georgia wins, most of the national awards, a very disproportionately large share relative to its population share. So what I'm basically trying to tell you is that these are the skills that you will need to succeed. And I have done these and done pretty well. So let me share some tips. Alright, so first of all, the most important document in preparing for the Personal Finance competitive event is the competency document. For those of you who are international students or are familiar with this term, you can also consider it to be the syllabus for the exam. So see here you have various competencies, which are very broad, and then you have specific tasks or skills you're expected, and then you have an approximate question distribution. The tests at the national level are 60 minutes long, and they have 100 questions, so you need to move somewhat quickly. A lot of students get caught up on some of the more difficult questions, and they don't know when to skip over questions that they don't know, and because of that they end up losing time, and they end up not being able to answer many of the questions and losing easy points that way. So you want to try and avoid that. But as you can see, these are the competencies you'll need, and these are some references. Most of these references are kind of outdated, hard to find, so I wouldn't really worry too much about these. But one thing I want to remind you guys is that I think HOSA, she has a really good document about tests, competitive tests in CTSO programs. So these tests they're not achievement tests, right? They're not like, what you take in school when the teacher gives you a test to see what you know, right? Because that material you're expected to know because you've been taught all of it, hopefully, and they want to see how well you can recall what you've been taught. But that's not what this is about. This is about how can you, given these topics, learn them on your own without much assistance and be able to do relative to other people. So for example, the scores on these tests will be relatively low. I know in my state sometimes nobody gets an A percentage, like nobody gets like above 90%. The highest score might be like 84 or something like that. So the whole point of that is because like the average score is supposed to be close to 50, so it's because they want to like have the broadest range to be able to know, be able to distinguish very fine levels of skill. So that's why these tasks are like very broad. Like for example, identify major consumer protection laws. So it's very broad. It doesn't specifically say like, know what Family Medical Leave Act is, or know about the National Industrial Recovery Act or Glass-Steagall or something like that. But in the future, this could be read more broadly and cover a wider range of laws that you're expected to know as students get more knowledgeable. So it's very, very important to continue to build your knowledge and not just read one textbook or read one article and expect to know everything you'll need for the test, because the expectations will continue to grow because students will learn more material, and they learn more material in order to have a properly normed test that still distinguishes different levels of skill. They will ask harder questions, so you don't want to be on the losing end of that. Okay, so the best book, my opinion, is the Kapoor book. Most recent edition, the 13th edition, I put a link to it. You can download off of gen.lib.rus.ec. This is the link to that. And so this is probably the best resource to get you started. Really, like, the most important thing they test is vocabulary. So being able to, and most importantly, I'd say it would be like being able to make inferences. So like when you don't know a word, or being able to use the context of the question to be able to come up with the right answer is absolutely essential. I've done that so many times. In fact, the first time I did personal finance, I'd barely studied, and I'd used some of my background knowledge and my ability to make inferences about the vocabulary to be able to get a bunch of right answers I wouldn't have. That's why I placed at that first competition. So, and finally, general knowledge is absolutely essential. So podcasts and radio shows like Planet Money and Marketplace, which are on NPR, are really, really good because they cover a wide range of topics, general knowledge about personal finance. And like I said, this is a competitive test. It's not like the SAT or like an achievement test where the knowledge is just, a fixed curriculum, and then based on that they will give a test. It's not like that. The curriculum can broaden or tighten based on what they predict that students will know, and so you want to be ready for anything that could possibly be related. You want to be ready for any possible question. So, and then of course there's a magazine called The Economist, which is a very good source of economics related, personal finance related news. Occasionally you'll have questions about current events in the test, so it's important to know those. And the Stocks app has if you have like an Apple device, has various articles about stocks, and just like reading those can get you a nice idea of like how stocks work, how how it helps you see the concepts that you learn about in the book in action. So that's basically how you can succeed personal finance test. It's really a broad-based test. It's not that difficult if you have background in the material, but if you're someone who's like starting fresh and expecting to, like do really well the first time, that's going to be very difficult. You have to build your knowledge, over the course of months and years of dedicated work in order to be able to succeed in a very broad event like this. Hope you enjoyed the video.